I think by the time others join, we can start. So yesterday, we spent good amount of time discussing a business case, business scenario from S&OP and demand planning perspective, right? Please bear with my voice if it's a bit rough today. So we talked about a normal scenario where I may have sales history as an input. This sales history is can be loaded from any source system or can be.
Don't forget to subscribe our channel and click on bell icon to update yourself with latest SAP videos.
Loaded directly into IBP via flat file, right? Then as a planner, I would also like to have flexibility to update the sales history as an adjustment. So for that, what we can do is we can also have one more key figure for us, adjusted sales history. And then based on the adjusted sales history, we can calculate the statistical forecast. So while calculating the statistical forecast, we also discussed one of the important parameter or profile what we use is forecast model. Okay. Content of forecast models can be, or the inputs for the forecast models can be periodicity, for what period we want to generate the statistical forecast, for what period we want to utilize the past history, right? And then pre-processing information. For example, do we want to calculate outliers automatically, or you prefer to do the outliers manually, right? And then the actual execution, where you mention input key figure, which can be adjusted sales history, output key figure, which can be stat focus quantity, and then you also mention the algorithms. For example, triple exponential splitting, simple average, and so on. So you also mention the focused algorithms here. Within the algorithms, you can define the parameters. Like if it's a seasonal model, then what kind of alpha, beta, gamma parameters you want to utilize, and so on, right? And then if you want to also capture the forecast accuracy or error, then in the post-processing, you mention for what kind of error you want to track it. So in this case, let's say it's MAPE. So before going into this discussion, let's cover the key figures. So in example, what we said, we can have multiple opinion lines. So in addition to the demand planning function, we can get input from marketing. We can also get input from sales. And then it is up to the business how to derive the final consensus demand, right? So that's our ultimate aim of closing the unconstrained demand at the end of the S&OP cycle phase 1. Right? There can be a phase 2 where the consensus demand can be transferred to your supply planning engine, whether it is SAP APO, whether it is ECC or S4. Supply planning can get calculated based on that. And based on the supply planning results, we understand where are the allocations, where are the constraints, and the feedback can come back to demand as a part of constrained demand, right? So as part of the demand supply balance planning discussion, right? So these are some of the scenarios what we were trying to discuss as an example. Sorry, I think somebody has a question.
Just a quick one. Is supply planning is similar as PPDS in S4, or
it is
completely different?
It is kind of similar. If you look at the horizon for demand planning, let's say you want to focus for next 2 years, right? Then supply planning is nothing but your midterm planning, right? Midterm planning in the range of 1 month to 2 years, as an example, right? And PPDS is not nothing but your short-term detailed level planning, right? So in APO also, you will see two different modules. One is called as SNP, Supply Network Planning, which is a midterm planning tool, whereas you see PPDS as a separate module in APO or in S4. That is a production planning detailed scheduling. Normally, it is the planning process within very short term horizon, like 0 to 3 weeks, 0 to 4 weeks, and so on, where you plan your production activities at the lowest level of hours or minutes. Whereas midterm planning, you do not need to be worried about a lowest level of hours and minutes. So for that, it is always a day or week.
Yep.
As a periodicity.
But so for the second phase, the output from supply planning feeds back to IBP.
It can be feedback to IBP, correct?
And that is your constrained demand.
Constrained demand.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Right. So this can be one of the example where you will have a list of key figures, right? Now, how to evolve and get to those inputs is what we need to decide during the design phase, right? So we understand that based on the sales history, you can use forecast models and generate the statistical forecast. Then you can have marketing input as an editable key figure, right? This is system generated information. And then you can also have editable key figure for sales input, right? And ultimately you can decide which one to be taken as a precedence to go to the consensus demand. And in between, there can be multiple key figures also. Some drivers, yesterday one of you also mentioned that some additional key figures to indicate additional upside forecast of 10%, etc. So all those intermediate key figures would also come into picture based on the client needs, right? These can be our normal quantity specific opinion lines. Then what we discussed was there can be price information, there can be value information to review the numbers in US dollars. Then
Don't forget to subscribe our channel and click on bell icon to update yourself with latest SAP videos.
there can be some additional key figures like variance key figures, difference between these couple of key figures, etc. That can be also come up as part of your design discussions. Sometimes you may also see key figures called as full year key figures. What do we mean by full year key figure, right? So just to elaborate on that topic, what I'll do is I'll go to the next screen and then similar to planning view, right? I'll write it here, sales history. Then your stat focus as an example, right? And then what I want to know, right? If I'm reviewing the sales history, it is in the past. So maybe this is a past period as an example. And this is a future. Right? So sales history will be always populated here. Okay? Whereas forecast will be populated for future. Now, instead of reviewing the two different key figures, what I can also achieve, I can create a full year key figure for stat forecast. If in this full year key figure, it can be a calculated key figure, okay, where you mention a formula